The following is a presentation of CUTV Sports and CUTV Sports 1.
Hello and welcome to the Gary Dunn Show for September 20th, 2017. I'm your host, Gary Smith. And on today's show, we're going to talk with Coach Dunn about this past weekend's trip to the middle part of Pennsylvania against the Millersville Marauders. And then we'll look back at last year's game against Seton Hill, who is this week's opponent, which we will then talk about. Then look at scores and standings from across the conference. So without further ado, Coach, thanks for coming by. It's been it's hard to believe we're already through the non-conference portion of the season and at the end of September already.
Yeah, it's flying by. Great to be back for another week. Good to be back at home this weekend after a decent length road trip, I guess, but great to be back for another week.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, Millersville this past week, and a lot of people, and I didn't realize because I'd never been there for football, that's a longer trip than what you think. Everyone says, oh, it's Lancaster, Harrisburg area. You think 3 hours, but once you get off that turnpike, it's still another 45 minutes. And a lot of cows and a lot of cornfields.
Yeah, drove right through the cornfield to get to the campus. No, it was great. I think, we had been so fortunate to be at home for so many weeks, looking back to last year and then opening with the first two at home this year. I think we were at home 6 games in a row, so our guys had to get used to traveling again. And it was good to get off campus, and I think that's a good time for our team to bond and spend time just them together, and it was a great trip for us.
And it was a trip against the second straight game against a PSAC East opponent, a team that you played last year and beat pretty handily. This year, Millersville looks like they're much improved. The week before, they had a shootout with Seton Hill, and then they were pretty game on Saturday. But your team did a good job of staying the course and getting the W. Yeah,
anytime you go on the road and you can get a win, you feel great about it. Millersville did a nice job, had a nice scheme prepared against us. I think we jumped out early and I'm sure we'll talk about it, to a 23-point lead, and then we're able to do enough in the second half to come home with the victory. And that's, for us, that's what it's about. At the end of the week, you put one in the win column and you move on to the next week, and that's what we've done.
Yeah, you said the first half, it was a tale of two halves, really, 23-0 in the first half, and the second half, Millersville kind of hung around and kind of like a pesky fly, just kind of stayed around. But let's talk about the first half first. Great job of controlling the action. Both sides of the ball, had a block kick in there, had some takeaways in there, and that first drive, I remember we were having some technical issues, which we'll talk about before the highlights we'll see, but that first 2 scoring drives, did a good job of chewing the clock and just taking it down the field and scoring.
Yeah, I thought we came out offensively ready to go, and obviously our defense got us a 3-and-out to start the game and created some good field position for us. We did a nice job on that first drive. Nick Grissom, our senior tailback, had a heck of a run to punch that one in. You come back and the defense gets us a big turnover and it creates field position again, and we take advantage of it. I thought that was a big tell of the game. We took advantage of the opportunities that our defense gave. When we turned the ball over, our defense was able to hold and not give up any points off of turnovers, which was a big part of that game. But really happy with the way we came out and started the game. Jumped up on them early, and I know you mentioned the block kick. That's something we work on every day, every week. Every Monday we're up there, and that's the very first part of our Monday routine is trying to block a kick and trying to protect our kicks. And that was a big part of the game as far as point takeaways and us converting all our PATs and field goals and us stopping some of theirs. That was a big part of the game.
Well, the block kick, not only that was momentum, that kind of was a little demoralizing for them. And then you had another special team score. Wasn't anything directly, wasn't a block kick, but a snap over the head for a safety. But I think that was, a lot has to go to that, like teams seeing your team speed on film, just trying to get out there, because they know if they're not in their rhythm, that's going to come back at them.
Yeah, and we spent a tremendous amount of time on special teams, and Coach Wilson does a really good job of having our guys detailed. And that's our 3rd straight week that we've had a safety. So anytime that special teams or defense can point points on the board, it's a big lift for our guys, and that was a big part in that game.
And we'll go back to the defense a little bit. And I don't know if it was because I was in the visiting stands, got to watch the game a little closer than I normally do in the truck, but it seemed like that the speed of your defense was just ratcheted up this week, as opposed to, not that they were slow the first week. It just seemed like there was a little more gas in the old engine.
Yeah, I think our defense is playing really well right now. You know, this is 2 weeks in a row that they've really controlled the game. We're doing a tremendous job of stopping the run. Our front seven, really good job taking the run away, which is our first and foremost is our goal. We're going to take the run away and then get into pressure packages and do some different things. But really excited about the way those guys played. They created turnovers again for the second straight week. They, won the field possession battle. Just played a really good, solid, all-around game, and that was a big part of the win.
And in the second half, as I said, it was tell two halves. First half, 23-0. Second half, Millersville stuck around. But I thought the team did a really good job. Millersville was trying to make a comeback, and there was no panic on the sideline. It was just, okay, here's the next play. Let's execute.
Yeah, we had a couple mistakes offensively that kind of let them get back in it or let them hang around, I guess. And but where I was proud of the offense, when we had to put a drive together and get some points on the board, we were able to do that. We weren't clicking on all cylinders in the second half. And, hey, give Millersville credit. They did a nice job. But when we had to get on and get some points, we did that on 2 occasions in the second half. Our defense really stood up at some certain points. We give up an onside kick and the defense comes out and closes the door right away. So it was we look at it as a great team victory when maybe one side of the ball is struggling a little bit. The other side, that's their job to pick it up, and I thought we did that on Saturday.
Yeah, I thought that drive, the last scoring drive your team had for a field goal at the end of the game, I thought that was as good a drive as any. I know it's not probably going to be on any highlights at the end of the season, but in that part of the game, Millersville was coming back, but did a great job of defense getting the stop, and then I think that drive probably took 4 or 5 minutes off the board, and after that, it's pretty much academic at that point.
Yeah, I thought both field goal drives were big. We sent Will Brazil out there, who's doing a tremendous job for us. I think it was a 42-yard field goal, if I'm not mistaken, and he nails it right down the middle in the third quarter. Then we send him out in the fourth quarter for a big field goal to kind of close the game out, and he's doing a nice job along with the rest of our special teams guys.
Let's take a look back at this past weekend's game. Millersville, quick note, we had some major technical issues with the heat and at the location. So the highlights aren't the greatest quality, but a good job by the crew to not run panicked into the cornfields behind the stadium and get something on tape. So here are the highlights from this past weekend against Millersville, and then after the break, you'll see highlights from last year's game against this coming week's opponent, Seton Hill. Stay tuned. You're watching the Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.
Grissom, yet again, patient running, just working all around the field, and he will get into the end zone almost untouched. California gets on the board. Shank drops back to throw, almost fumbles the snap, and he will. California right there, and they believe they're going to pick it up. See if they give California the ball, and they will. Go here, still in that shotgun set. Looks to throw this time. Feeling some pressure as he steps up in the pocket, finds a wide open Jordan Danger is on the slant route. Just adjusting to what the defense was doing, found the wide open receiver. But nonetheless, Stephen Flanagan drops back to throw, and a big interception there from Luke Rapchak, stepping up on the day after his birthday. Michael Keir still with Nick Grissom to his left, drops back to throw, has some pressure from the outside, doesn't see it, ball pops out, and Millersville looks like they're going to jump on it. And they will. As a block kick, and California, you don't see that from special teams. California blocking a field goal.
Flanagan drops back to pass, looks out to his right, pressure coming again. He's going to take off, and he's going to pick up the first down and more and get into the end zone, I believe, and that's going to be a touchdown run. It was on our way in the kick. Kick is up, and it looks like it's right down the middle, and it is. So California now unable to get a touchdown, but they put 3 points up on the board. Millersville noises. This is a big third down as Keir drops back to pass. That pass will be intercepted there by number 21 for Millersville. He's going to take it to the house. So a huge play there by Millersville. So Brazil's kick is up, and it is good.
Vulcan football is back. August 31st versus Ohio Dominican. September 9th versus Cheney. September 16th at Millersville. September 23rd versus Seton Hill. September 30th at Slippery Rock. October 14th versus Clarion. October 21st at Gannon. October 28th versus Mercyhurst. November 4th at Edinburgh. November 11th at East Stroudsburg. Catch all the action live with your home of the Vulcans. CUTV Sports 1 on YouTube and radio on 91.9 FM WCAL.
Do you want information on the 2017 Vulcan football team? Look no further than the Gary Dunn Show.
I was really proud of our efforts, especially from our senior class that had been through a lot, and for those guys to walk out of here with the PSAC championship.
Coach looks back on last week's game and looks ahead to the upcoming opponent.
You know, we're really starting over and trying to build that foundation for the 2017 season.
Don't miss Vulcan highlights, PSAC standings, schedules, and much, much more.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Dylan, what's wrong, man?
I just don't know how my family back home in Buchanan, West Virginia can watch our stuff up here.
They can follow us on Twitter, or they can like us on Facebook.
That's awesome. What about our sports? How can they watch that?
They could watch it live right on our YouTube channel.
Awesome, man. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Here, hanging it off to Grissom. Grissom is going to plow his way into the end zone. California strikes first with 13:31 to go. Strong looking to pass. Under pressure there, and the ball comes out. It's a live ball, and California has it. What a play there by the Vulcan defense. A fade route here, and that one is complete to Gary Brown. That is a touchdown for California. That kick is up, and with plenty of room, is good. So California leading 17-0. As California sends people there, the punt is away, and this is going to be returned by Gary Brown, and he's going to go backfield, try to cut it around. Gary Brown has some blockers here, and he's going. He has one man to beat. He hurdles a man here. Gary Brown finally gets taken out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Here, handing it off to Grissom. Grissom trying to plow through the end zone, and he has it, I believe. He does. That's a touchdown for California. Strong in the gun. Handing it off here, and he's going to get taken down as the ball comes out, and it's picked up by Aaron Terry. Aaron Terry gets it to about the 25-yard line. What a play there for California on defense. Here, airing it down the field to a wide open Luke Smory. A shovel pass there to a wide open Jalen Bell, and that is going to be a touchdown for California. Looking to pass into the end zone. It is complete to Gary Brown for another California touchdown. Strong looking to pass. Going into the end zone. Wide open is number 7, Norman Darden. And this is the first time California has let a touchdown happen since last season. Kier, play action. Looking into the end zone. It is going to be complete there. And to the tight end who just checked in, Paul Butler. Kier looking to pass. As it's a nice pass and a touchdown there for Luke Smory.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. I'm Gary Smith, joined by Coach Dunn. And Coach, we just saw last year's 59-17 win against Seton Hill, and they're the team that's next on the schedule in the 2017 season. We were talking a little bit off camera. You know, their team, that has a lot of weapons on offense, and it's a, you know, can't overlook anybody because they can put some points on the board.
Absolutely, they've got, you know, a senior quarterback coming back that was I believe an all-league guy last year that does a great job of distributing the ball to their weapons. You know, they're averaging over 400 yards of total offense. They're a balanced attack. I think they're close to 120 on the ground. And then they throw it quite a bit. So it's going to be a big test for our defense. We've got, you know, they probably run a little bit different offense than a lot of teams we see. You know, a lot of motion, a lot of different formations. So we're going to have to play assignment football, and we're definitely going to have to be at our best this weekend.
And it's definitely good to be back at home, even though, like you said, it's the first road trip in 6 or 7 games. But, you know, it's always good to be home for that first conference game of the year because, you know, non-conference games, you know, they're huge at, you know, 3 games. But now these are the games, these next 7 or 8 weeks are what's going to determine how the 2017 seasons look back upon.
Yeah, and, you know, PSAC West play, we realize every week it's going to be a grind. And, you know, we focus on our next opponent. We're all about Seton Hill this week. And like you said, it's tough every week. You know, there's nobody that can roll out and beat anybody. It's going to be a challenge every week, and we've got to play our best in all 3 phases to have a chance.
And this is a team, Seton Hill, you know, they've only been in the conference a few years in football, I believe less than 5 or 6 years. But this is a rivalry that's starting to develop into a rivalry because, you know, I think people are starting to realize, hey, it's 35 minutes away. You know, both teams are in each other's backyards, and, you know, there's going to be a little extra on the field.
Yeah, you know, we recruit the same people. We know their coaching staff, and they do a tremendous job. And just the, you know, and I always say it on here, that's the neat thing about Division II football is the rivalries. You got a school that's, you know, 30, 35 minutes down the road that you play in every sport. And, you know, a lot of our guys went to high school with somebody that goes there. So it's a nice rivalry, and you know, both sides really like to get after it.
And we talked briefly about the offense and their explosiveness and what they can do on the offense. On the defensive side of the ball, what will they bring to try and slow down the Vulcan attack?
Yeah, really talented on the back end. I think their 4 secondary guys are as good as anybody we've seen. They run a multiple front. They'll do some different things. They'll play an even front. They'll move to an odd front. They shift guys around and try and get you matched up in protection. Do like to blitz. You know, solid defense that you've got. The big thing for us this week is going to be preparation and making sure that we're, like I said, defensively playing assignment football offensively, because they do give you some different looks that maybe we haven't seen so far this season.
And that's a good way to segue into our Twitter question this week, because it does go with conference play, because it's the first week of conference play, and I had to cut this down from the 140 character limit. But basically, what is different about conference play as opposed to non-conference play? And I guess that means, you know, preparation, just the whole thing.
Yeah, I think the first thing is that you know the opponent better and they know you better, because you play every year. The non-conference games, you know, the 2 East games come in and out of the schedule every 2 years. The Ohio-Dominican game was the first time we've ever played them. There's a lot more familiarity in conference play, and it does mean more. It's, you know, our goal at the end of the day is to compete for a PSAC West championship. That's our first goal, and every game counts now towards that standing. So, you know, everybody tightens up a little bit. Everything's a little bit more detailed, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
And as a coaching staff, and I'm sure part of the players, this is kind of like one of those times of the year you can kind of circle. It's almost like, you know, a milepost. Okay, we got through preseason camp. We got through first couple weeks of the season. Now, you know, like you said, we see what we want to do to the end of the year. I mean, does that just help kind of like reset the batteries a little bit?
Yeah, you know, and you guys know up here at CUTV, we play 1-game schedule. So, you know, I treat the first 3 games just like I treat conference play. But I think our guys understand that once we get into divisional PSAC West play, then it's time to really tighten up and make sure that we have everything. You know, we have probably a shorter preseason camp, and me and Coach Craig, our defensive coordinator, were talking about this yesterday. You know, we're really just kind of getting to where we were last year as far as preparation and scheme, because this was, with the new NCAA rules, probably the shortest preseason camp we had. Last year, we only played a 10-game schedule, so we were open that first week. So I think our guys are continuing to develop and continuing to improve. We're starting to play a lot more younger guys, especially on special teams. We've got some younger guys that are going to be on special teams this week because they've developed, and now that we have enough time. So I think, you know, it's tough, and once you get into conference play, you kind of, you know, you are who you are, I think, after the first 3 weeks in counting preseason camp. So it's going to be a big week for us.
Well, if you're a fan of college football, this is the time to get excited about, because even though the weather's 85 outside now, the leaves are going to be turning, and every game is going to be that much more. So come on out this Saturday, 1 o'clock, California against Seton Hill. But before we talk about all that stuff, let's take a look back, put a wrap up on last week's action in the PSAC. last weekend for a while of crossover play. Most of the games were in the East. I think there were 1 or 2 games that were in the PSAC West. Obviously, we talked about California-Millersville. Westchester over Edinburgh, 62-28. Indiana over Cheney, 65-16. And then Kutztown over this week's opponent, 62-17. So a lot of points put on the board across the state. And then if you flip to the other 4 games on crossover play, Shippensburg blinks Clarion at Clarion, 31-0. Bloomsburg Gannon 27-10. Slippery Rock over Lock Haven at Slippery Rock 33-7. And then the game that, for whatever reason, we got on the radio in the middle part of the Pennsylvania, couldn't get anything else coming back, but we heard a pretty good comeback. Mercyhurst upending East Stroudsburg at East Stroudsburg, coming back with 19 straight fourth quarter points, and obviously probably the closest game of the weekend of the PSAC.
Yeah, interesting. After 2 weeks of crossover play, it's dead even right now. The East and the West have won exactly the same amount of games, so that'll tell you that it's a balanced league. You know, when you play 2 weeks of crossover and it's dead even at 8-8, I think you know it's a grind every week.
Yeah, and it's probably been years that it's been that close. Usually, you know, some years the West has the advantage, some years has the East, but for it to be dead even, as you said, I mean, that's a testament to the depth of the league, and that no team can take a week off, basically.
Exactly. You got to be ready to play every week, and you know, I think the West had the advantage last year, and then obviously the East come back, and they've got a lot of good football teams on that side of the league. Westchester's playing really well. We're watching the Kutztown Seton Hill film in the office this week. Kutztown's playing really well, and so is Shippensburg. But you know, a lot of good football teams, a lot of good coaches in this league. Let's take a look at the PSA standings, both East and West, and this will just kind of give an idea of what the teams did in their non-conference portion of this, or the non-divisional portion of their season. You see Cal IUP, Slippery Rock 3-0, Edinburgh 2-1, Gannon and Mercyhurst 1-2, and then Clarion and Seton Hill 0-3. But there's going to be a lot of, you know, movement of those standings coming on because, you know, everyone's 0-0 right now, beginning of a new season, basically. That's right. The left-hand column's the only one that matters over there. And then in Shippensburg, in their non-conference portion of the season, they're the only remaining undefeated team in the PSAC East. Bloomsburg, Kutztown, and Westchester 2-1, then Cheney, East Stroudsburg, Millersville 1-2, and then Lock Haven 0-3. And now let's take a look at the schedule coming up this weekend for the first weekend of divisional play in the PSAC. A lot of good games right out of the gate. I mean, they're all going to be good because, like you said, everyone knows everybody. Everybody's recruiting everybody. Kickoffs at noon for Gannon versus Slippery Rock, Edinburgh, and IUP. And then the 1 o'clock games, Mercyhurst at Clarion, and then our game, Seton Hill, California. A couple 2 and 2:05 games, Cheney at Bloom, Westchester at Lock Haven, Shippensburg, East Stroudsburg, and then the nightcap in the PSAC, Millersville at Kutztown at 6:05. And Coach, if you're a fan out there and you can't come to the Seton Hill, California game, you have a proper excuse. What would be the other game as a fan would you probably want to tune into? Probably those first two. You know, Slippery Rock at Gannon. Gannon's always tough to play at home and really do a nice job. And at Edinburgh at IUP, I think is two really good games. The 2 noon kickoff games would be ones I'd like to see. I always like the noon and the 1 o'clock kickoffs. Anything later than that just doesn't feel like college football, but right about there, that noon to 1:30, that's the sweet spot for me. Well, that's because you want your Saturday night off. I know what it is. I enjoy all the 1 o'clock games. I enjoy the night games too. I think it brings out a different element for your guys playing at night. So it's you know, I think we start obviously we start at 1 o'clock and then we get into different times. We're going to go back to like we did last year. I think next week is 6 o'clock. The following week's 2 o'clock, and then we're 4 o'clock. So we're going to figure them all out here in a little bit. Got to play them all. And, that's right. Coach, time for you to check your phone because we're going to put up. And I even tried not to do this graphic, but my crack staff updated the graphic with the national polls. This is for the fans only. There are words on the screen. Nothing changed in the top 10, so we can just move along. There you go. Continue moving along. It's a well-designed graphic. Everything's spelled correctly this week. Awesome. It looked great. Didn't spell Edinburgh with an E at all. So, Coach, we got about another minute or two. Any last words? Anything to get the fans? Yeah, we need your support this weekend. You know, I think it's going to be great to be back at home. The weather's going to be fantastic. I know we've got a big group of alumni coming back. I know the parents are going to be tailgating. Love to get the students up there. I think it's important for our guys that we get the student body involved. We're going to have some great promotions this weekend. So come on out and join us Saturday at 1 o'clock at Adamson Stadium. I tell you what, it's a great atmosphere up there. And even on the road this past week, and our guys had a chance to go through the tailgates, talk to some of the parents, and just see. I mean, it was a buzz. And you came around the corner. You expect to see some tailgating for the home side, but we came around the corner. It was red and black as far as the eye can see in the one section of the parking lot. Yeah, had a nice fan. Our parents are doing a tremendous job traveling and tailgating together and getting to know each other. I had some former teammates there that I hadn't seen in a long time, which was nice. We had some, quite a few alumni that came out, and I got to spend some time with them before the game, which is always nice. But anytime you can see your former teammates and they're still supporting us from the other side of the state, it's special. Being a Vulcan and the support we get from our alumni is tremendous, and I can't thank them enough.
So come out this Saturday at 1 o'clock at Adamson Stadium. Early weather report looks like it's going to be about 85 degrees and sunny, maybe a little cooler than that, but definitely sunny. I don't think any rains in the forecast. Should be a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Western Pennsylvania. If for some reason you can't make the trip to Adamson Stadium, CUTV and WCL should have you covered. I'll say should because we've been having some computer issues on the TV side, and on the radio side we've been reaching max capacity, which is a good problem to have because a lot of people are tuning in to hear what your team's doing, Coach. But as long as the internet holds out, the game will be live on CUTV's YouTube page, CUTV Sports 1, and then live audio on the 91.9 FM WCAL app. So like I said, there's a lot of people trying to keep in touch and see what your Vulcan team is doing on Saturday.
Yeah, great to hear that the support's there, and love to have you at the game. Students get up there. I know I believe they're giving T-shirts away this weekend, so it's going to be a fun day to tailgate up and come watch a great football game.
Well, thanks a lot, Coach. We'll see you Saturday at Adamson Stadium. Hope to see a lot of you fans at Adamson Stadium pack it up because there's nothing better than seeing a full house at Adamson Stadium. If you're listening to this on the radio, kickoff will be in a few moments. For Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. You're watching The Gary Dunn Show right here on CUTV.